Thank you for having me today, and thank you so much to Dr. Curtis for those kind words. It's an honor to be here as part of the Ashley Award recipient and join a really incredible group of young alumni. I'm not going to lie, I feel a lot of pressure up here after watching Mr. Nielsen and company's performance a couple weeks ago. I promise it's in everyone's best interest if I don't sing or dance up here, and you can ask Mr. Meyer for backup on that. Yeah, it's true. Thank you. I love hearing the cheers still. I think we had it easy in 06. That's a lot easier to rhyme than 20 or 21. But what I am going to do today is share a little bit more about my story, mostly through embarrassing childhood photos, because that's fun. I'm going to expand upon a few of my experiences that brought me to my current role with the Ducks, and I'm hopefully going to convince you that no matter what path you take, you have a chance to make a difference in the world. So my Deerfield story starts in a car ride with my dad back from a hockey tournament. I spent a lot of time with him in the car, and he really liked to take advantage of those opportunities to give car life lessons. I'm sure we've all had that. His favorite one, it goes like this. So he would always say, every day, every action you take, every person you interact with, you have a chance to make a ripple. And some of those ripples might be small and insignificant at the time, but some of them might spread a lot further than you'll ever know. And so he said, through your actions, Molly, always make a positive ripple. And when you have a chance, jump in 2 feet first and make a splash. And so I was 13 at the time. I said whatever, but as I've gotten older, I realized there's a lot of truth to that, and I actually look back on that visual a lot of the rippling water and the decisions I've made and the path I've taken. But that day, he spared me a life lesson, but he did have another significant piece of information, and that was that my family was going to be moving to Boston that summer. I was a freshman in high school, and I was loving life out in Illinois, and he said, I'm transferred and we're moving to Boston. I moved around a lot as a kid. My parents grew up in Buffalo, New York. From there, we went to New Jersey, moved to Minneapolis, and that's where, like any good kid, I learned how to skate on a pond with my older brothers. And so I had 2 older brothers I both adored and tried to torment by following them around and doing everything they did. So when they played baseball, I played baseball. If they played soccer, I switched to soccer. And when my middle brother finally chose hockey, I thought that was the perfect sport for me too. He did not love that decision. I begged him to play, and he always said no. And finally, week after week, I was just a little sister tagging along. And he finally said, I have 3 rules for you. You can play, but you have to play goalie, so me and my friends can shoot on you. When you play goalie, if the ball hits you, you can't cry. And you can't tell mom, no matter what. And I said, okay, that seems fair. So sign me up. And from then on, I played street hockey in the cul-de-sac in Chicago, and I ended up playing travel ice hockey throughout the entire Midwest. When I was in 4th grade in 1998, the women's hockey became part of the Olympics for the very first time in Nagano, Japan. And my parents were nice enough to tape the gold medal game because it was airing in the middle of the night. And I put the VHS tape into the player the next morning before school. And I got to watch this game and then win gold for the first time ever. And I actually went into my classroom the next morning just so excited to tell anybody. And I told my teachers that day that I wanted to be a gold medal hockey player someday. That was my dream. And so I actually wrote a letter to Cami Granado. She's the captain of the team. She grew up one town over from me, and I invited her to come speak at a school assembly. I don't know why, but she accepted. Very cool of her. And she came, and I was 9 years old, and I got a chance to meet her, wear her gold medal, and introduce her on stage. So little did she know, by saying yes to that invitation, she created that tidal wave in my life and really set my dream into motion. So there I was as a freshman working my way towards that dream, and we were told we were going to move. I was less than thrilled. So very quickly I was thrown into a boarding school world that I knew nothing about. I actually came to visit campus and applied when the acceptance letters were being sent out. So I was 3 months behind in the process. But over the summer, I got that exciting phone call, and I decided to take a jump. And it was one of the scariest things I ever did. And when I arrived on campus, fall of 2003, I immediately felt overwhelmed and outmatched by my peers. Everyone was so smart, so talented, and to me they felt very confident. I was very shy, uncertain, and struggling to keep up with all the academic demands especially with Mr. TA's vocab tests. Yep. Those still really haunt me, I'm not gonna lie. But like every move before, I found my way through sports. Coming here, when I stepped foot on the ice that first winter, I finally felt like I belonged. I made friends who quickly became like family, and I gained confidence. And that confidence carried over into everything I did at Deerfield from then on. And thanks to the incredible teachers and staff, my views were challenged in the classroom, my comfort zone continued to expand, and my sense of accountability to the larger world began to develop. So over the course of Deerfield, some of the puzzle pieces of my life started to form a little bit. So when I was a kid and I dreamed of the Olympics, I dreamed of making the big save in the big game, listening to the national anthem with my teammates, and winning a gold medal. And while I was fortunate enough to live out a few of those dreams, we did come short of the ultimate goal. This was from Sochi. If any of you watched that game in Mr. Meyer's math class, we gave up a 2-goal lead with 2 minutes left and ended up losing in overtime, which was really painful. But what I learned, and that taught me really quickly, is my time on the national team was much more valuable than wins and losses. For me, it was the experiences that I remember most, the school assemblies, the Make-A-Wish ceremonies, the hospital visits, where I got to talk to young girls and their families, teachers, fans, even just strangers on airplanes, and you start to realize the power that sport has to connect people. Everyone gets so excited. You bring out those medals. Everyone has a story to tell of where they were and when, or it just elicits emotion unlike anything I've ever seen. So that hockey taught me a lot of things, but I give a lot of credit. I participated with 3 different organizations after college, and those really gave me a sense of the bigger world and my responsibility to it, each in their own way. And so the first one, I always wanted to do the service trips at Deerfield, but because of hockey, I couldn't. And so when I graduated college, I signed up for Habitat for Humanity, and without knowing anybody or anyone, I jumped on a plane to Guatemala and joined a team there for 10 days, and we worked on a rural site in Guatemala. So every morning we would say hi to the kids on their way to school, and by day 3, the kids asked if we would go to school with them for show and tell. I'm pretty sure they were in awe of my red hair, the athletic build, and my horrible Spanish, and they thought this would be fun. So we all went to class, and we got to join in on their lessons, and we got to go out and play with them at recess, play different games. And so that night, I actually went to town, I bought a soccer ball. And the next morning at the build site, I gave it to a little boy, and without sharing any language, anything in common, we played, we laughed, we cheered, and a big puzzle piece was formed that sport is a universal language and it can break down barriers. The second organization, after college, I was still training for the second Olympics, and I knew I needed balance. I needed something to take my mind off hockey. So I heard a radio ad driving to the gym one day for Cradles to Crayons, just a nonprofit in Brighton, Mass. It sounded cool, I looked it up, and I signed up to volunteer the following week. So I went in for my 2-hour shift, and by the end of it, I was hooked. I jumped in, and I ended up working there for the next 3 years as I was training. And what I loved so much about this organization, it was so local. So it connected volunteers with social service agencies, with individual families, and you could all make a difference. So every year we would give out about 100,000 kid packs full of shoes, books, toys, clothing to local kids in need. And one day we would fill 300 kid packs only to come back to 500 new requests the next day. And it really taught me that every single day, every volunteer, every donation, and most specifically every child really mattered. And more puzzle pieces came in of that community impact and personal drive. The third organization, I actually found out about them through a teammate. It's called Right to Play. And this is a former Olympic speed skater in 1994, Norwegian. And he went to Africa after the 94 games and went to visit a village and saw a bunch of boys playing soccer. Except they weren't using a ball, they were using a rolled up long sleeve shirt tied in a knot. And so at first he brought sporting goods to donate, and he felt good about that. But when he saw this war-torn village, he felt horrible. He goes, I should have brought food and water. And the village president said, no, you gave us the best gift you could ever have given. These children got to be kids for a couple of hours. And so that program, he went home, and it now impacts 1 million kids a week in 15 different countries, in war-torn countries, refugee camps, and it gives kids the power to rise up, as you'll see in this really quick video.
They would take you from your family in the middle of the night, get you high on drugs, so you're brave enough to fight. They'll make you feel safer when you're with them than alone. Say they are your new family, that this is your new home. They will starve you and beat you and strip you of joy. Make you a boy soldier instead of just a boy. But I rise above the violence. My childhood is still mine. So I raise my hands up to the sky, because I play, and then I rise.
So I sought out that organization because I so strongly believed in their mission. And to get involved, I sent them a tweet, right, social media. And I said, "Hi, I love what you do. How can I help?" And they got back to me and said, "We'd love for you to be an athlete ambassador. You can speak on our behalf. You can help us fundraise, and you can get involved." And I jumped at the opportunity. And so for the past 5 years, I've been an ambassador for this program. And it showed me time and time again that sport can transcend war and violence and religion and really unite people in a way that nothing else can. So those three experiences, Cradles, Habitat for Humanity, and Right to Play, really started bringing together those pieces of the puzzle. And so when I stepped away from hockey in 2015, I was ready for a change. I went on a search to figure out that terrible question of what's next. And I was lucky enough that the Anaheim Ducks SCORE program was kind of the border to a lot of those different pieces that I had been putting together over the years. And so Anaheim Ducks SCORE stands for Scholastic Curriculum of Recreation and Education. I'm pretty sure my boss just came up with words to fit the acronym that he was looking for. So none of us even know what it stands for, but that's it. And it started back in 2005. So the NHL lockout, the NHL told every team they had to come up with a fan development department, but each team could do what they thought was best in their market. And so for us, we thought the best way to inspire the next generation of kids in a non-traditional market like Southern California was to become part of their educational experience. So we started with 10 schools, 5,000 kids, all in-school programming. So we write curriculum that becomes part of their day at school. It's mandatory for them, right? They can't opt out of it. We have now grown over the last 14 years. We have 10 different programs. Right now we are in 375 schools, and we impact over 60,000 kids a year all across Orange County. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think makes our program so unique and also so successful. And I think most of this will carry over into whatever field you choose to do. But first one's programming, partnerships, and platform. So in summary, when my mom asks what I do, I say we come up with really fun programs to get kids excited about education and healthy living. So we provide something of value to kids. You can imagine when they first, in 2005, walked into schools and said, "We want to teach your kids hockey," and you look around and there's beaches and palm trees, everyone said, "No, thank you." So they went back to the drawing board and realized they needed to provide something of value to the teachers themselves. They're the gatekeepers to the students. So it started with a reading program, school supplies and reading. So now we give out 18,000 sets of school supplies each fall, and we have 10,000 kids participate in our reading program. And we began to build trust with teachers, that we weren't just a hockey team trying to throw hockey down their throat. We truly believed in the education. And so from there, we knew ice hockey wasn't going to be viable. It was too expensive. Kids didn't grow up skating on a pond like I did. So we wanted to remove as many barriers as we could to entry and provide access to everybody. So for us, that's through street hockey. So we wrote a curriculum that can be modified for grades K through 6, and it's one of their PE units in class, and we donate all the equipment. And then we looked around as kids started to get excited about it. And on every school campus, you see a basketball court, you see a baseball field, a soccer field. We thought, what if we built hockey rinks on campus? That way, when kids go out for recess, They can play hockey like they've been learning in school. So this is one we built last summer. We'll build our 9th and 10th this coming summer. And it's been a really great way. It becomes part of the community. So they host tournaments. They bring in people from outside, and it really gets a lot of use and becomes part of their school, which is really neat. Another program we run, STEM is such a huge buzzword these days, and so we decided to write a science of hockey curriculum, all in-house. So we have 4 different curriculums, ranging from thermodynamics and the science of ice, to energy of a slap shot, and this year we introduced 3D printing, and kids could design a new hockey puck, and the Ducks players would use them on the ice at practice. And so this is called our First Flight Field Trip. It's 17,000 kids inside Honda Center for one day. It is the loudest the arena has ever been, and we've measured that. We've measured against NCAA games, Stanley Cup playoffs, Justin Timberlake concert. Kids can scream louder than all of that. And so the Ducks players become the teachers for a day. We provide them the curriculum, we give them a workbook a month in advance. We set up 75 different exhibits in the parking lot that kids can interact with, all ranging on the science of hockey. And that is now, I guess, statewide known in California and recognized as an informal science program. And then we started trying to figure out what other voids can we fill in the education field. And as many people know, PE is one of the subjects that's starting to get cut more and more. So we call it the Captain's Challenge. And as kids prepare for their physical fitness assessment, that sit-up, push-up mile, we all had to do at one point. We all hated it, that's the response. We try to get kids to get really excited for that. So we incentivize them to do a month-long program. Every kid gets to be captain for a day, and they lead the school in exercise. And then they get to come to Honda Center and do their testing there. So instead of beer on draft that you would find at a 5K, we have chocolate milk on draft in the parking lot for the kids. And you get to see them have fun doing physical fitness, and that's our goal. So that program's expanding to 10,000 kids next year. And then, as many people know, STEM became STEAM, and so we had to add the arts in there. And that's where I got to be really creative and create a school program all on the artwork on a helmet, on a goalie mask. So goalies are the only position in any sport that can actually showcase who they are, their family, their city, what's important to them on the mask. So I go out, I talk to schools, I share my masks, and then I challenge kids to design a mask of their own. Not for the Ducks, but something that tells their own story. And we pick a winner, and this year. Ryan Miller, our goalie, will wear that in a game and then bring out all the finalists and meet them. It's been a really neat way to get kids thinking about hockey differently. We know at the end of the day we're not going to have 60,000 hockey players, but if we can get a kid to love physical fitness, love engineering, love art, we've done our job. Hopefully they buy Ducks tickets down the road. That's part of the business model. Number 2 is partnerships. So we learned very quickly the only way to get to students and their families is through the teachers, and we truly view that as a collaboration. They're our strongest advocates. We try to follow advocates at each grade, at each school, each district, and that's our best way to do it. We don't see ourselves as saviors coming in and providing something that they don't have. We see it as adding to a curriculum that they already have and trying to make it easier for them. Meet the bad apples. They're our best advocates. So how do you get teachers to talk about hockey in school? You turn teachers into hockey players. We get together, it's rookie league every Sunday night. Most of them change into the wrong bench, or as they call it, the dugout, and trip over the blue line any chance they get. But they have fallen in love with hockey, and then when they go back to the school and a kid's hesitant to try something new, they can say, hey, I'm doing it too. And it's been a really neat way. We're in our 6th season now. And then this is just a fun photo. Every playoffs, we give out 35,000 t-shirts, and we get the whole community activated with police and fire and community leaders, and the schools spell out really fun things for us. The last is just platform. So we feel we have a responsibility as an NHL team to leave a positive impact in the community. It's not all about hockey. Because of our programming and the success and the growth that we've had, we now have a seat at the table on the California education policy. We have a voice. We can help shape that future for kids. And for me, I'm lucky enough with the Olympic platform to be able to even have more space and a bigger platform to be able to share my message. I remember Cami Granado coming and how much that changed my life. And now I get the chance. That's actually back at that same elementary school gym 12 years later. And I was the one with the Olympic medal getting to talk to the next generation. And I take that very seriously. And so all these different experiences that I've had, this is our team with the Ducks. I couldn't do it without him. He would get mad if I didn't put that up there. All these experiences that I've had, they all came from taking a jump, taking a risk, and following something that I believed in. With the Ducks and my platform, I believe hockey is for everyone, right? We can expand that to sport is for everyone. It makes a difference, right? You look at the Olympics, you look at North Korea and South Korea marching together, you look at the refugee team, it can break down barriers in a way that little else can. But what's really neat about Deerfield and what I loved about my time here is everybody has their own passion, their own talent, their own skill. So for me, it's sport is for everyone. For you, it might be art, it might be water, it might be healthcare, it might be financial security. You get to fill in that blank over the course of your life, and that's really special, right? So you're going to be as successful, or what determines your success is your attitude, your effort, and how you treat the people around you. And I always go back to what my dad said in the car, right? The ripple. You never know how you're going to impact someone. So I'm going to close it just with a quote that he left my brothers and me. It's part of a bigger quote, but this is the part that I always rely on. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you've got, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway, right? So my challenge to you is find that purpose, find that cause, what keeps you up at night, and then when you have the opportunity to make a ripple, do it. But use each other, use your skill, use the platform of Deerfield and all the great things you have ahead of you, that when you see that moment, just jump in and make a difference and make the world a better place. Thank you.